And on Sunday, there was football,
Mm.
which means we get to talk about it.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Oh, that is correct. It is the Audible Week 13 recap morning games. Of course, we got games going on right now, so we will get to those towards the end of the show. But for now, it's Cecil Lammey. It is Sigmund Bloom. It is talking about what we saw, what we didn't see in this weekend so far of football. Arizona and Pittsburgh is up first, Bloom, and oh boy, Kenny Pickett. Oh boy, Kenny Pickett getting banged up in this one. The Cardinals winning 24-10 is the final score. And anytime Mitchell Trubisky comes in, my interest goes bye-bye. But let's talk about Kyler Murray, 145, 1 touchdown. And then James Conner, 2 rushing touchdowns, 105 on the ground. Trey McBride, a little bit banged up at 8 for 89 and a touchdown. And he's the only one that did anything. So that tells you from the receiving group how the day went, including, yes, for Marquise Brown, the ultimate sabotage drop. Shout out the Charge. We should just start calling him the Charge. Anyway, let's talk about the Cardinals side and how they were able to beat the Steelers on the road.
Yeah, wow. Band-Aid approach, right? Let's just get the Steelers game out of the way right away. A reality check, if you will. And for Arizona, Kyler Murray did okay. I mean, he didn't really need to do much. This was a game played in a lot of rain. There were 2 weather delays. On the East Coast, in general, there was some sloppy, nasty weather. What passes for winter, I guess, changing into winter. But like you said, Cecil, was all Trey McBride, who earlier in the week looked like he maybe would be dicey for this game as far as his availability. Got a couple limited practices in, and it's clearly that number one target. Had a touchdown that was overturned by replay. Went back to him for a touchdown. Marquise Brown leaves with the heel issue. Rondale Moore actually had 1 helmet catch touchdown on a deep ball that was nullified by holding, and another one that Kyler Murray put out, probably not for a touchdown, but for a long catch that Moore could not bring in. But you can see him, maybe we'll talk about him on the waiver wire show, playing a larger role. This team is going into their bye, but you see Rondale Moore and Kyler Murray hooking up in the deep passing game. And again, this team has questions about next year going into their bye. Kyler Murray, bigger questions for the Steelers. This is supposed to be a playoff team? Playoffs
with Mitchell Trubisky. No, thank you. Najee Harris, 16 for 63. Jalen Warren, 9 for 59. George Pickens, 4 for 86. Deontay Johnson, 4 for 33 and a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth, it's the Freiermuth show. Well, 3 for 29. Because Pickett gets hurt, Trubisky comes in, and oh God, we have to talk about Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, this is where it's ended up. George Pickens did okay early in this one. Deontay Johnson got the garbage time touchdown from Trubisky, and that was who Trubisky favored last year when he did start. So we might look for Deontay Johnson, not someone you're excited to have, but maybe more useful depth. The running game was reasonably effective. You expected them to really carry this team against a weak Cardinals defense that was able to hold the Steelers pretty much for most of the game until the end, a touchdown. So again, this is a playoff team facing New England, a defense that at the very least is still a game competitor next week. I don't want to watch the Steelers anymore this year. Steelers, please, no.
That sounds about right. Colts and Titans up next in a scorcher that went to overtime, 31-28, the final score. The Colts get the win. Gardner Minshew, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Michael Pittman, 11 for 105 and a touch. Alec Pierce, 3 for 100 and a touch. Kylan Granson, 3 for 72. Deep Dynasty owners, alert. Zach Moss, 19 for 51 on the ground. So it was a nail biter. It was down to the wire. Minshew versus Levis, and it's the Colts come out on top. Bloom, what'd you think?
Yeah, Minshew, again, showing that maybe he's not quite an entrenched starter in this league, but he certainly is somebody that means your season's not lost if he is your starter, because your starter went down. And not only is your season not lost, you might be going to the playoffs. Alec Pierce in the deep game, including the big catch with the field goal against them in overtime. He makes the catch to set up the game-winning touchdown. Kylan Granson, like you said, getting involved, and Michael Pittman catching the game-winning touchdown in overtime. And again, this offense, Shane Steichen showing you can set up your number one to get short targets, RPOs, and stay involved. And Michael Pittman has been one of the best picks fantasy drafts with Gardner Minshew. So Tennessee's pass defense also helping here. Jeffrey Simmons went down, by the way. Got to face Miami next week. Oof. So Minshew, now this is a team also going to the playoffs, but they barely beat in overtime a team that we say Tennessee clearly not a playoff team. And Will Levis making some plays, but once we saw Derrick Henry go down in this one, that's the heart of this team, and it was more difficult for them to find a way.
Yeah, Tyjae Spears comes in after Derrick Henry gets 21 for 102 and 2 touchdowns. Spears had 16 for 75 in this one, so 4.9 a carry and 4.7 a carry. Pretty good. DeAndre Hopkins, 5 for 75 and a touchdown. Will Levis, sidearm, 224 and 1 touchdown. There you go. Chiggy, 3 for 62 for Okonkwo. And, nobody else did much of anything else, and the Titans fall short.
Yeah, against a defense that young secondary you can pass on. You did see DeAndre Hopkins give us a flicker of hope for putting him in our lineup, although next week going against Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, we'll see. Will Levis, again, showing at least he deserves next year. He deserves an entire offseason and next year to see Tennessee with the Derrick Henry blueprint. They were up early in this one. Henry getting those 2 touchdowns, 17 carries in the first half. Levis even had a fumble recovery. You know the sentence, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. It's supposed to be a grammatically correct sentence. We had a fumble recovery by Will Levis in this one. Titans offense stalled out for a good stretch of this game, but got back in it enough. Had some block punts issues. The punter was out, backup holder, extra point issues. But we did also see this team put up some fight. That's a Mike Vrabel team for you. Again, maybe a taller order putting up fight against Miami next week.
No. Do we have to talk about this game? Chargers and Patriots? Wait a second. What? I was like, is this game still in progress?
Right.
No, it's over. 6-0. Bloom, talk about everything.
Yeah. What is there
it was
to
a
talk about?
professional football game, and it was 6-0. I guess Quentin Johnston doesn't suck. 5 for 52, I guess. Zeke Elliott, 17 for 52 for the Pats. Like, what? No Malik Cunningham package? I thought they were preparing for that. Albert Breer or whoever. I don't know who it was. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's 6-0. And it was a game.
Yeah.
And it's over.
See, so we had something earlier this week. We didn't get a chance to talk about this because it's happened since the last time we recorded. The NFL actually flexed a Monday night game for the first time to make sure that we didn't have to watch the Patriots on Monday night. That's what it took. That's what it took for them to say, oh, by the way, we actually can change the Monday night game. You know, all those times like, wow, how could they have left this game on Monday night? Couldn't they have put a better game? Oh, they must not be able to flex Monday night, scheduling and all that. Oh, they can. Just only so we don't have to watch the Patriots. Again, dreary weather, offensive nightmare. Quentin Johnson, you do build some confidence. Dynasty leagues care about this. Jordan Everett was okay. Keenan Allen, a disappointment, but a disappointment when he's 5 for 53 or 58 or whatever. Austin Eckler's been a disaster this year as far as what you invested in him and what you expect to get. The ankle, I think, is probably not 100%. And yeah, they're facing Denver next week. Much more interesting team. Ramondre Stevenson goes down. Another hip drop tackle. Cease, anything you want to say? Any hot takes on the hip drop tackle?
Oh, this is just what you're going to get, right? Oh, you don't want to hit neck and shoulders. Now you're going to hip drop them. They're going to take that away. What, Seattle roll? Like, this is just, it's all they're doing is just, oh, I can't target his head. I'm going to take his knees out. So, yeah, I can't tackle. No, I'm going to roll. I'm going to hip drop. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So Stevenson, I don't know if we're going to see him again this year. Ezekiel Elliott will be on the waiver wire show next week. Tyquan Thornton, Bailey Zappi had a few good throws. One to Thornton that went right through Thornton's hands. Another one that Devontae Parker couldn't quite get in. So, Zappi, he's trying to show he deserves to hang around the league as a backup. But I'm with you, Cease. I want to see some Malik Cunningham. And yeah, we'll see if the Steelers can beat this team that didn't score next week.
Oh, don't even get me started, dude. The Steelers are going to lose that game.
Of course they are. It's Belichick.
Okay, this one's better, and this one will pull at your heartstrings, Bloom. Who were you rooting for, Detroit and New Orleans? I want to know before we even get started. Like, wait a second, that one's Detroit and New Orleans in your hood, but it's your team in your hood, and well, 33-28, the Lions, they get that W over the Saints. Jared Goff, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INT. Sam Laporta, 9 for 140 and a touch. It's working. 2 for 49 and a touch for the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 for 60. David Montgomery, 18 for 56 and a touch. Jameson Williams had a rushing touchdown. So that works. So there you go. Maybe a little bit harder fought than you had thought. The Saints putting up a fight in that second half with 21 second half points. But your Lions get that dub.
Yeah, and I'm going for the Lions again. First time since 1962. Let that sink in. The Lions are experiencing success that most Lions fans were not alive for. So that's fun. And yeah, they were up 21-0 in this one. It looked like everything was going their way. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, who didn't do much later on, had a big run early. Sam Laporta, who was the main man in this one. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's got an early touchdown. And the Lions, it seemed like we're going to coast to a victory. But like you said, the Saints were not done. And you did also see a Jameson Williams touchdown this one as a double reverse. And you see the speed. It was one of the first plays I think sees on an NFL field where you see, Jameson Williams does have that extra burst. And that's why they were so excited to get him. It's up to Ben Johnson. Maybe the last run for him before he gets a head coaching job. So the team's 9-3, going to Chicago. But just like everybody else, to ask the Cowboys, they're looking up at San Francisco and Philadelphia.
Saints side, and every quarterback played. Could you play legally more quarterbacks? Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill had 2 passing attempts. So they all got in, and Carr threw a touchdown and a pick. Whatever. Chris Olave, 5 for 119. Cool. Alvin Kamara, 6 for 58 as a receiver, 14 for 51, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Taysom Hill with 59 yards and a rushing touchdown, couple of catches, 15 yards. A.T. Perry had 1 for 30, just because I love A.T. Power. But that's it, Bloom. That's it. It was almost enough, but that's all they had today.
Yeah, they were on their way to potentially the largest comeback or largest deficit comeback in franchise history, or they're still playing for a playoff berth, division title. Derek Carr leaves again with an injury. Jameis Winston comes in. Best throw is actually should have been intercepted. Should have been intercepted by maybe 2 different guys. Somehow finds its way to Chris Olave. And yeah, it's going to be tough for this team to win a division, even this year's NFC South with Winston. Next week, Carolina coming to town. Maybe they can win that one. Olave was fine. Kamara and Hill each getting those short touchdowns. There was one that Hill almost got, Kamara got, but that's what they're going to do when they get in close. Juwan Johnson, we thought he was a good sleeper this week. He has a drop that results in an interception early. Derek Carr doesn't look back to him very much after that. So that's what happened to this Saints team today. And again, when you watch this team and you think this is a team still in the playoff hunt, that's how bad this division is.
Yeah, the football was bad today. Atlanta and the Jets. Of course, I'm underwater with the Broncos, Bloom, so forgive me. Some of these scores I'm looking at for the first time, and I was like, 13-8. Is it over? Oh, wait, no, it's been over for 2 hours. 13-8. The Falcons get the win. They're 6-6, unstoppable. The Jets are the Jets. Desmond Ridder, 121. Yeah, 1 touchdown, very stoppable. Kyle Pitts, 451. Hey, they used him, but it was Michael Pruitt. Anyway, Bijan Robinson, 3 for 26 as a receiver, 18 for 53 as a runner, and not much else did anything else because, they didn't have to, and they still won on the road against the Jets.
Your division leading Atlanta Falcons. This is who Dallas is going to probably have to go and play on the road. The Jets had safety early in this one. Like you said, Pruitt gets a touchdown because this is a good matchup to play your tight end up to Kyle Pitts. Touchdown, tight end, touchdown. Not Kyle Pitts, not even Jonnu Smith. Drake London covered in sauce. And again, because the Jets have no offense to threaten the opponent, you don't have to take a lot of chances. So you cancel out London and Sauce, and that's okay. You can still somehow find a win and a showdown with Tampa Bay coming next week.
Yeah, showdown. Throwdown. Let's see the Jets side. Trevor Siemian comes in because Tim Boyle's your starter. Xavier Gibson was the leading receiver, 5 for 77. There's something. Garrett Wilson, 3 for 50. Okay, but we knew downgrade everybody because Tim Boyle's playing, but then Trevor Siemian came into play because honestly, Siemian should just start. Whatever.
Yeah. See, so I didn't know this until this week because some things. Did you know Tim Boyle was terrible in college?
Yeah, he had one of the worst.
Yeah. How is this? How did this happen? There's a story that needs to be written. How does Tim Boyle even end up being on an NFL roster after being one of the worst quarterbacks in college for like 3 years? Anyway, they finally said they had enough. That's pretty bad, right? It's pretty bad when you're looking at Trevor Siemian. You're like, that's got to be better than what we've got. Wow. That's how bad. I mean, we'll talk a little bit at the end about the Browns. I understand saying, even though it's a washed up Joe Flacco, that's better than what we have now. But Trevor Siemian? Really? Trevor Siemian. Dalvin Cook was outperforming Breece Hall. Breece Hall got a lot of short receptions again, but Cook fumbled in this one also. And the Jets just, sees it the reality check as a Steelers fan, as a Jets fan, some of these teams today, a reality check. This is where you are. This is where you're going to be until something about your organization changes.
Yeah, reality check. The Commanders and Dolphins, that's up next, Bloom. And, of course, the Dolphins are going to do their Tyreek Hill thing, and 45-15, and it feels like they let off. Mike White was in again, the ultimate rich man, poor man. Oh my God, Mike White's in, Mike White's in because Tua already did what he needed to do. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns in this one. You saw Tyreek get both the touchdowns, 5 for 157. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 52. Devon Achane in 2 touchdowns, 17 for 73 on the ground, 3 for 30 as a receiver. Raheem Mostert, 11 for 43, and 1 rushing touchdown. So there you go, making it look pretty easy. Welcome to the Miami Dolphins world.
Right, making it look easy. It still feels like we don't know if this is a good team. We don't know if this team can beat a Kansas City in the playoffs or beat a Baltimore in the playoffs. But we know they can certainly beat Washington in the regular season. Got out of hand too quickly, plus 3 rushing touchdowns, running backs. That's why Tua was good, not great in this one. Hill, great. Jalen Waddle was okay. Could have been more if he didn't have a drop. Maybe would have been around 80 or 90 receiving yards. David Achane, touchdowns didn't come during important times in the game, but that's good, right? Because with what they know about his knee internally, they said, yeah, garbage time, let him go ahead, and he's loose. Let's let him get some run. And that meant if you trusted him, is it justice in fantasy football? I think it is that if you trusted Devin Achane in his first game back, you got a really good game, and not because he busted any long touchdowns. So, and don't worry too much if you have Mostert, because again, Mostert was in the game more when the game was hanging in the balance for like the blink of an eye it was, and then it was garbage time. And this is it. And then again, this team's going to play Tennessee next week. They do have some offensive line injuries, Robert Hunt, Teron Armstead. I feel like we're going to go to the playoffs with this team, Cease, and still not really know if they're legit.
Yeah, and then the story will be written. Sam Howell, the story's over. Like, we saw it. He got his chance. Okay, we know what you are. Nice backup, whatever. 23 passing attempts, only 12 completions, 127 yards, and an interception. Curtis Samuel, 4 for 65. Antonio Gibson, 4 for 37 as a receiver, 10 for 35 as a rusher. Sam Howell had 2 rushing touchdowns, by the way. Brian Robinson, 7 for 53. And then, let's see, Jahan Dotson, 2 for 23. I said I wouldn't say his name, and I did. But with Sam Howell, it's like, he's scrappy. He's got moxie. He's got a nice personality. I'm trying to say the nice things without saying the not so nice things about Sam Howell.
Yeah, well, he's in that Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Washington quarterbacks of the past, right? A mold where he's going to give you everything he has, but that's not enough, right? This car runs on moxie. Well, that's not going to it's not going to work. So you had a pick 6 by Howell. At least for fantasy, you had 2 rushing touchdowns. It didn't matter. So it ended up being not a disaster, but this just shows you whether it's Miami, or whether it's Howell, that you're not really assured anything. That's why we know that it's not him for the future, even though he's acquitted himself pretty well for a 5th round pick. Brian Robinson was running well in this one. Then he got hurt. So Antonio Gibson, Washington's going into their bye. We'll talk about Gibson on the waiver wire show in shallow leagues, short bench leagues. He might be available. Curtis Samuel made a few plays. and that's it. This passing game was really on mothballs. They weren't giving us a lot of garbage time nourishment. And yeah, you get an extra week, Washington, to think about how you have no idea where this team is going.
Now be careful, Bloom. I want you to be careful. When you say a car runs on moxie,
Yeah.
there's going to be people that don't like that. They're like,
Oh,
wait a second. Did you
hey,
ever hear about the guy that created the car that ran on water? And his last words, because he went to eat at a restaurant and he thinks he was poisoned, and his last words are, "They poisoned me."
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
you know, hey,
You can make cars run on cooking oil.
this goes back to
People,
Tesla, right? Didn't Tesla want to give
Mhm.
everything away? Tesla
Well,
wanted to give it all away.
he had the free energy machine or whatever that he turned on, and they're also, I guess a lot of people didn't know this. Cars can run on propane. Like there's definitely, and I was talking to my Honda guys because, of course, my wonderful Honda Ridgeline. They made a car. Well, actually, it was Toyota because Honda's doing more other stuff, but I think Toyota made a hydrogen car. So
yeah.
they're probably going to try to mass produce that. But yeah, be careful when you say a car runs on something that's not petrol or
Yeah,
electricity.
I might be able to do $1 billion startup around that idea too. Get some investors. A car that runs on moxie.
Yeah. Okay. Just get in and really believe. I believe we're going to make it.
Well, not much left. That's a one replenishing renewable resource right there.
Yeah, that's right. Belief. Russell Wilson believes, he's just not very good. So Texans and Broncos is up next here, and we don't have a lot of games to get to. We'll recap a little bit of what we're seeing in the afternoon games, Bloom. Again, I just got done doing a post-game show where I got mad at Broncos fans. It's like, you can be a fan, that's fair, but you also have to understand the truth. The truth is belligerent to those who are ignorant. So don't be ignorant. Okay. Just know, like, they can't do it with Russell Wilson. Like, you can't put the game plan on him and expect it to work. He threw 3 picks. Now, the final one to Lucas Kroll, throwing it up. Kroll didn't know where to go. It came down to the Denver scores and they win. You know, this is 23-22. Broncos win. Oh my God, I can't believe they did it. Because it was not a good game at all. They didn't play good football. They put themselves in a hole, 13-0, 13-3 at half. And then, well, Russ got to go win it. Well, Russ can't do that with his arm anymore. So the plan was sound, Bloom. You know, you can pick on that Texans secondary, but the Broncos didn't do it enough. Jerry Jeudy, 3 for 51, one on wide open play, maybe would have been a touchdown. Wilson didn't even see him. Sutton, 2 for 77 and a touch, which is great. But early on, the first 2 plays of the game, they're attacking with Sutton and he's dropping the passes. Like, he had 7 targets, only 2 catches. The execution wasn't there. Wilson did run 10 times. He's ran 21 times over the last 2 weeks. That won't last. It can't last. Javonte Williams, 3.5 a carry. That would, I mean, why didn't they get Leonard Fournette? You know what I mean? Why haven't they gotten Zach Ertz to help out? Because it's a better option than Lucas Kroll. Although Kroll does know the movie Kroll, which I respected. His dad made him watch it when he was a kid. Anyway, but it's like, this is what happens. Like, the Texans are a really good team, and you messed around. You still had a chance to win, but you messed around up against those guys. You can't do it against those guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I think we can look at this where we say the Steelers, that's not a real playoff team. Indy, probably not a real playoff team. The winner of this game, we would say, well, we got to treat them like a real playoff team. And Denver, like you said, Cecil, was 1 play away from winning. And it did seem like it was harkening back to, okay, Russ, let's see what you can do. Kind of like those Seattle teams. Sometimes it would go awry and Russ would have to do it. But this is the Russ in the autumn of his career. It was still a decent fantasy game for him, but it was more of the Javonte Williams offense, which is not the high octane offense. Like you said, he wasn't clicking early in the passing game. And you saw Derek Stingley, top 3 pick for Houston, coming through with a couple of big plays. It just wasn't enough. And Samaje Perine, we were hoping for more, not as involved. And well, this is a Broncos team, not exciting for fantasy. Even when you watch their defense, they did have the 9 combined turnovers against Mahomes and Allen, but still not a marquee defense. There's not a player of the year candidate, but this team still finds a way to hang out or hang around, finds a way to challenge good teams, to beat good teams. So we do have to take them seriously, but it's much more fun to take the Texans seriously.
Yeah, much more fun to take them seriously. And oh my God, Nico Collins. He's still racking up yards right now. The game's been over for 2 hours. He almost had 200 yards today. and Pat Surtain was on him. Now, Surtain was a little bit banged up, a little bit of a knee thing or something. They put a sleeve on it. He played. He looked fine enough. But Nico Collins, 9 for 191 and a touchdown. Amazing. CJ Stroud, 274, 1 touchdown. Did leave a little bit banged up. He did look woozy. I was kind of like, oh my God, he's woozy. Get him out of there. They did. Davis Mills comes in and he throws it and attacks Pat Surtain with Nico Collins, by the way. Brevin Jordan, 3 for 64. No Dalton Schultz, no problem. And then Tank Dell gets banged up in this one. Not much there for John Mechie or Noah Brown actually did play. So there you go. But the Texans win, and they do it in a weird fashion because there were definitely flashes, but it's like, man, you shouldn't have let Denver hang around, and
Right.
they did.
Right, that's the thing. You watch this game, and if you didn't have any context, you would think, okay, the Texans are an established, good team, a balanced team, and they just didn't do what they needed to do to finish an inferior opponent that had a lot of competitiveness, a lot of toughness, and was going to hang around. But it is CJ Stroud throwing downfield to Nico Collins. And don't you love it, Cease? Don't you love it when a quarterback has confidence and the players feed off of that, and he takes chances and challenges Nico Collins to make those plays, and Nico Collins makes those plays. What you like seeing, Cease, I don't know what the next gen stats would be where you could calculate it, like how many quarterbacks would even try this throw, right? CJ Stroud makes those throws. Like how many quarterbacks would even try to fit it in that window or try to lead a receiver the way that he does? And you see that connection with Nico Collins. Not the first time he's had a massive game, and not the last time, especially with Tank Dell hurt. Not playing when he was blocking on a short yardage run. Really? Tank Dell, really? 165 pounds blocking.
Yeah, in the middle.
I mean, Bobby Slowick, we've been really commending his play designs and play calls, but I don't know about that. Dameon Pierce, this is what we're not going to commend. Dameon Pierce averaging 2 point whatever yards a carry and getting 15 carries to like 6 for Devin Singletary. Dameon Pierce touchdown. So, Dameon Pierce, I guess you can keep on your roster as emergency depth. I want to keep Devin Singletary on my roster because when he plays, he's good. Newsflash, someone get that memo to the Texans. A little bit of Brevin Jordan with Dalton Schultz out. He was basically the number 2 target attached to a quarterback like CJ Stroud. We're interested. Playing the Jets again, gave up one to Michael Pruitt today, touchdown. We're interested in Brevin Jordan. So yeah, that's the next order up for this team, a Houston Texans team that I, for one, would love to see in the playoffs.
Okay, Bloom, full disclosure.
Yeah.
If you are listening to the podcast version,
right,
and not watching on YouTube, first do both, baby. Helps us out. We appreciate that. We're recording during the afternoon games.
Yeah.
What are you seeing so far? Right now, we got Tampa 7, Carolina 3, 49ers 14, Eagles 6, and at halftime, it's the Rams 13 over the Browns 10. What have you seen so far from these afternoon games, Bloom?
Well, building up from least to most interesting, Panthers, Bucks. You saw Rashad White get a touchdown early. Mike Evans doing his thing. That connection has worked out. Again, Baker Mayfield does not kill the fantasy value of every wide receiver that he throws to. Bryce Young company doing a little bit better. Chuba Hubbard almost had a touchdown, got down to about the 2. That's was the best thing you had going in this offense. Spreading the ball around with some DJ Chark, some Jonathan Mingo, not just Adam Thielen. So maybe that window is closed. As far as the Rams and the Browns, yes, Joe Flacco. Yes. After this team traded away Joshua Dobbs, what if they had signed Joe Flacco right then and there? So we want Joe Flacco to be our backup, not PJ Walker. Where would this team be? Because offense is functional with him. And you saw Jerome Ford catch a touchdown so far, and you're seeing, again, with Joe Flacco in there, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, not a lot of David Njoku in the first half, but their values aren't flatlining with Flacco out there, although the running game has not been doing much against the Rams. It's the Puka Nacua show. Cease, did you find yourself saying, before the season, we're going to be talking about Puka Nacua and the speed, pulling away from everybody on a 70-yard touchdown? It's still waiting for Cooper Kupp to do something. And even Kyron Williams not doing a lot. Remember, this is a Cleveland defense we respected, a little banged up. Myles Garrett. Right now, the Rams are doing a little bit more, trying to hang around again in NFC playoff hunt as the Browns are trying to hang around in the debacle that's going to be the last spot or two. In the AFC, AOFC.
AOFC? Autopsy?
Sometimes you just bumble your way into the best stuff. I need to find a way to do a whole show with that accent, just however I figured that out, that those new phonics. But it was leaving us speechless, the matchup between San Francisco and Philadelphia. Philly actually controlled this game early, and this is another one that was played in sloppy conditions. Notice I'm talking about a game that's ongoing in the past tense. This is a game where Brock Purdy did eventually get going in the first half. San Francisco did jump out to a lead. Their defense, yes, is coming on, is improved, holding the Eagles to field goals early in this one. And you can see with Purdy playing well, Purdy, Kittle, Ayuk, all good plays. Debo with a rushing touchdown as we speak, all good plays. Christian McCaffrey has his touchdown already for this week. And for the Eagles, you're going to see now, okay, see, we can judge these offenses against inferior competition. We can judge these, okay, you came back against Buffalo. That's great. Buffalo's not a defense we're afraid of. What can you do? Can you come back against San Francisco? We'll find out. By the time you're listening to this, we already might know. But this is the plot of the NFC bracket. Yes, Dallas, yes, Detroit. This is the plot of the NFC bracket because San Francisco got thoroughly dismissed after Brock Purdy got hurt. But what did we say all offseason? What if Brock Purdy hadn't gotten hurt? Well, we're seeing that. And what we're seeing is, as of right now, San Francisco is a superior team.
Uncle Slayer saying, hey, offsy. You know what would be fun, Mr. Bloom, Mr. A offsy? You know what would be fun? Yeah. If we did a recap show before the games were over, as we talked about them as if the games were over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's and then release it. Just release it for like the first hour and then pull it and put the real recap.
Or release it and then see how many people catch on.
Yeah. Well,
wait a second. You said that the 49ers won and the Eagles won.
Well, see, I mean, you're talking about performance art. We just went to the Krampus parade. You know about Krampus, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-Santa. Yeah. It was really awesome. It was like performance art. It was really, really good. New Orleans never fails to satisfy when it comes to just embracing and celebrating individual people's creativity. And really, Cecil, you would love this. Like just their desire to keep old things alive, to keep things that otherwise we would not talk about or think about if there weren't people devoting themselves to making costumes and learning about the mythologies and histories and bringing it literally out into the streets. What would be great performance art is not just for a week, Cease. Really is when the NFL schedule comes out, before the season, even before the preseason and camp, do a podcast. Someone needs to run with this idea where you recap all the games and do an entire season before the season even starts. You got to summon up the emotion. You got to really live it like it's happening, but that might be more interesting than some of the games we saw today.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad out there. That is a wrap for today's program. We appreciate everyone for checking out footballguys.com, subscribing to our free daily newsletter, and then, of course, doing the YouTube things like comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. The show is at The Audible. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?